ambulance chaser. Why would I call these people? Somebody just died. That's terrible. I first want to address, before we have this conversation, an internal belief that ends up stopping people from calling these.
I battled with this for a long time.
Because
I struggled with it.
Yeah, which was funny because despite the fact that he would bust down doors like this with like an AK-47, he would call me and be like, I don't know, bro. I don't know if we should call these people. Like, what are you talking about? What I can tell you from calling thousands of these individuals and listing hundreds of these properties is, will there be 1 out of 1,000 that says they're mad? Yes. You call FSBOs, they get pissed off and call you names your mom didn't give you? Of course. So this is no different, yes? Now, what I've also found is that the ones who recognize that you're reaching out with the intention to be of service, and that has to be with the approach, are extremely appreciative. Because more often than not, they don't live here, right? Because mom and dad came to retire down in South Florida. It's a very difficult time from an emotional perspective. And number 2, it's very overwhelming because there's a whole house full of contents and there's all of these practical components that they need to take care of, right? So really, whoever can solve the most problems and add the most value, they win, right? Everybody's so focused on getting the listing. Anybody can list the property, truthfully, if they have a real estate license. But if I can help you with the contents, if I can get them shipped back to your sister in Arizona, if I can help you to get it cleared out, right? If I can help you to order a dumpster and get rid of all the junk on the inside, if I can arrange for it to be prepared for sale in terms of painting and flooring, and I have an assistant who oversees that process for them, am I adding tremendous amounts of value? Who are they gonna list with? As long as we address that internal issue, now the next step is where we have a conversation. So let's begin the conversation. I'll be kind of a seller.
Okay.
You'll begin with the opening, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop when he opens and I'm gonna break down what's happening. And this can be interactive, okay? So I want you guys to be like, well, what if he says this? Because I know you love to do that. And when you do that, I'll answer it, okay? Everybody good with this? Say yes. Yes. Okay, good, go ahead.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, may I speak to Aaron?
You may, yes, this is Aaron.
Hey, good morning, Aaron. My name's Heath. I received your information when my team pointed out that very shortly, if not already, you'll be appointed a representative of your family's estate. And the reason for my call, sir, is that I own a real estate business here in South Florida that specializes in the probate and trust process. And I know I might be premature in some way. I was just reaching out very respectfully just to see if you knew if the estate was planning on keeping the property or maybe leaning a little more towards selling it at some point in the future.
All right, pause, stop. Okay, good, clap it up for Heath. Hey, because just so you know, if I was to ask any of you to do this, this would happen. Like you would get very uncomfortable very quickly, okay? So it's awesome that you're standing up and doing this.
Yeah.
And it demonstrates like professionalism. So what's happening here at the beginning? If you want to be perceived as a guide to help people to solve their problems, you have to deploy 2 things. Who wants to tell me what they are? Empathy is the first. Yes? What do we want to lead with? Don't you know who I am? I'm the #1 agent in my office that has 1 person. Yes? That's what we want to lead with. But instead, we should be leading with empathy. How did he lead with empathy in that opening? Yes, this requires you pay attention and speak back to me. How did he lead with empathy?
Too soon.
I may be a little premature in some way. I was calling very with regards to the real property. Empathy, yes? I have to lead with empathy. What's the second thing I have to deploy in order to be perceived as a guide? Value, I hear. What else?
Some sort of specialized knowledge.
Competency. Yes? I have to demonstrate that I know what I'm doing. How did he do that? What did he say? I own a company. Yes? Do all you guys own your own real estate business?
Yes.
You don't think about it that way because you don't present it that way. You're like, I work for A, B, C, Y, Z, Y, X. No, you don't. You work for yourself. Yes? Because just so you know, in other models, like in that model, if they sold their business, you would get nothing. So you don't work for them. Yeah?
Can I explain why I say that? Because a lot of people, when they call, they're like, hey, I'm Heath, real estate agent, right? Right away, so you say that, it triggers in their mind, they want to sell. You're right, we're not selling. But if you own a real estate business, you own a company, we have different options. We can do cash offers, we can help you lease, we can help you sell it down the road. So that you're not just tied into one thing. Now you can help them with multifaceted approach.
Yeah, love that. So we're deploying both of those things right out of the gate, right? Not like, hey, I heard Grandpa Jim died. Do you want to sell the house? That's pretty lame, right? You probably hang up on that person. Yeah. Instead, empathy and competency. Continue. Yeah. Oh, so you say that to me and I'm like, well, yeah, I don't know what we're going to do next, but I appreciate you calling.
Yeah. And again, I understand that it's definitely early in the process. And, you know, the reason for my call is I've helped a lot of families kind of navigate this process. And what I found out is that sometimes, going into it and having these conversations that are forthcoming, it can be useful for them to have a clear, realistic picture and value. So in other words, if, and I know it's an if right now because that decision hasn't been made, but if you were to sell, what realistically in the current market and in its current condition could you guys expect to receive as far as proceeds, as well as the max amount that it could sell for? Now, again, I know that these conversations are forthcoming. Do you think that information would be at least helpful or useful to have on hand for you and the family?
Time out. So let's talk about what's happening there. So somebody says, I don't know what I'm going to do next, which is a frequent response. Yes. What are the potential responses that they can have? There's only 3.
Yes, no, or maybe.
I know you know, bro.
Oh.
So what are the potential responses? We're going to keep it. We're going to sell. We're not sure. Yeah.
What about, I have family members living in that house. This doesn't look.
Well, then I would dig. And we'll get to that. Right. So, well, I guess we can do it now. So if somebody says to me like, hey, we have a family member that's living in it, I appreciate that. It's not uncommon in these dynamics that there be a family member living in the house. I guess what I'm aware of is, and my intention in asking this is to be nosy, just to see if I can give you any more information that could be helpful or useful in some way. When a family member's living there, their desire to keep the home is oftentimes different than their financial ability to do so. So do you think that they have the financial means to actually buy you guys out, or is that not a realistic expectation? Yeah. What's the probability that anybody in the house can afford it? Yeah, you can look at him. That was good. What's the probability that anybody in the house can afford it? See, Adelis calls these people. You know what she was doing when I said this? She was going like this. You know why? Because I coached her for a while. I'm digging.
And you could also dig a little bit more into that and say, hey, if you had it your way,
yes,
what would you like to see happen with the property? So now you're getting, oh, I want my brother to live there. I want him, because now you're feeling them out. And then you see where the personal representative stands.
That's perfect. So those are 2 different ways to get clarity. If you didn't make the pivot, Rob, to probate, your business would have dropped by 50% last year?
Yeah, that's right. Probate now makes up about 50% of my business, and that would be for this year too, and probably going forward.